If you've been on this channel for a while, you know that I am a massive fan of Easy Red 2, which is a predominantly single-player World War II FPS that over the last year or so has quickly become one of my favorite games set in that era for a multitude of reasons. For starters, this game is one of the few that has good offline bot support, which, in an age of super competitive, sweaty online titles, is a breath of fresh air. It's so nice to be able to boot up the game and just relax, killing NPCs like it's the early 2000s Call of Duty or Medal of Honor all over again. No battle pass to grind through, no microtransactions, no FOMO, and perhaps my favorite, no first in games, last in life kids telling you have a skill issue when you're just trying to relax after a long day at work. All the nonsense of modern gaming ceases to exist with ER2, and there is a ton, and I mean a ton, of content in this game. In fact, realistically more than most AAA titles. While usually World War II shooters generally have players trotting through one or two theaters of war, typically focusing on the Americans, Russians, or maybe if you're lucky, the British as playable factions, Easy Red 2 has all that, plus the French, Italians, both late and early war, Aussies, Polish, Japanese, and in a few months when the new DLC comes out, it'll even have the Chinese as a brand new playable faction. In-game, each nation has its own weapons, tanks, planes, and gear, all of which can be used by the player. Easy Red has a rather unique inventory system that I've never seen in this type of shooter, where you can not only loot things like guns and ammo off corpses, but also uniforms, badges, food, attachments, and more. You can literally change your entire loadout mid-game if the opportunity or necessity arises. Say you run out of ammo mid-firefight. The enemy is rapidly encroaching on your position, but you see a nearby German soldier with his hands up in surrender. Time to commit a war crime and loot his body for ammunition and precious grenades. Or say you're piloting a bomber, but you get shot down deep behind the front lines. Use your pistol to take out a heavily armed soldier and steal his guns, steal his clothes, become the enemy, and blend in as you sneak up behind the capture point and take down the soldiers with their own fallen comrades' weapons. Easy Red 2, in a lot of ways, is as much a sandbox as it is an FPS. With loads of vehicles from heavily armored tanks, to aircraft that drop bombs capable of leveling entire buildings, to random civilian cars you can steal for a quick getaway through a war-torn city, there's something for everyone here. Easy Red 2 is like a giant box of World War II themed plastic soldiers, brought to life, and you can play out a lot of different battlefields and scenarios, with more being added every so often with a few DLCs. Now I know what you might be thinking here. Wait, factions locked behind DLCs? That sounds a bit iffy. After all, a lot of these games do follow this model where the base game is quite bare bones, where a lot of content that should have been there at release is sold in pieces as DLC, but Easy Red does not have this problem. For starters, the DLCs are cheap, and I mean really cheap. About a year ago I covered this game where I talked about everything you got in the then latest Ardennes DLC, which featured both the Battle of France campaign and the Battle of Bulge. So, for $6, you got 2 mid-length campaigns, new skins, weapons, vehicles, voice lines, and everything else associated with said campaigns for $6. I don't know of a single other game, indie or otherwise, that gives you that much content for $6. AAA developers are out here selling single skins for $20+, and Easy Red basically gives us a whole new game for what's nearly a quarter the price. Now, I should note here, I'm not sponsored by this developer at all. I paid for the game and all of its DLCs with my own money, and I'm just talking about it because I think it really is just a fantastic game. So the DLCs and campaigns. Each of them comes with a new area to play in. Like I said before, Easy Red 2 doesn't just stick with the stereotypical locations of most World War II games. Sure, you have your typical D-Day and Western European battlegrounds, but you also have things like the Battle of Stalingrad, the Pacific, the Italian theater, and then some. Now with the latest update that is, by the way, completely free, we just got Tunisia as a new campaign, which is really cool to me because it stands out as unique among the rest, because until now we didn't really have any African desert-themed levels outside of mods. How Easy Red 2 handles its DLC is somewhat unique, especially in the world of modern gaming. So, there are both paid and free DLCs, however, unlike other games that'll often have their so-called free DLC pushed out as more of a sample of a full paid one with loads of microtransactions to boot, Easy Red 2's free content is completely separate from its paid. For example, back when the Ardennes paid expansion came out, the developer also released the Make an Atoll campaign completely free, just like the most recent Tunisia. So even if you only buy the base game, you'll still get literally dozens of dead-made maps at no cost to you beyond your initial buy-in price, which is only around $10 or so. Add to this, the game has a level editor and mod support that allows players to make campaigns of their own that can be on par with the official content. I've put about 100 hours into this game over the last year, and I'm still playing and enjoying the vanilla content, so I haven't delved too deep into the modded stuff. It's definitely there and quite interesting. I've played one mod that overhauls the whole game from a World War II battlefield into a modern warfare battlefield. Now, back to the new campaign though, it's definitely one of the best free campaigns to be released. So generally, paid campaigns are a bit better put together than the free ones, where the free campaigns will more often than not just kind of be these open battlefields with less detail in them. I mean, you kind of get what you pay for, but they're still enjoyable and worth playing. But I have to say that the Tunisia campaign, especially in the later levels, is actually really fun and well put together. Once you get to playing the levels where you enter the actual city combat, it can get really intense. The Destructible Environments in Easy Red 2 is something I really appreciate just because of the amount of dynamics it adds to the gameplay. In ER2, the vast majority of objects are destructible, from trees to walls, sandbags, even entire buildings can be leveled. I was playing one of the new Tunisia levels the other day, and I was taking cover behind a wall, sniping the enemy infantry with a rifle I had stolen from a dead guy, when all of a sudden, I don't know if it was a rocket, a bomb dropped from a plane, maybe a tank in the distance, but something out of nowhere caused the entire half of the second story building I was standing on to just collapse into itself, sending me falling down into a pile of rubble. Thankfully, I had some bandages, I was able to heal myself and climb back up to the not broken part and continue sniping. Then there was another time where I knew a bunch of Italians were hiding behind a wall and operating an anti-tank gun, but I didn't have a line of fire on them, so I just loaded up a high explosive shell and shot through the wall, destroying the entire thing and killing the gun crew behind it. This level of dynamic gameplay and destructibility will make no two play sessions the same. The amount of devastation you can cause on the battlefield, especially in some of the more urban areas, is insane. A lot of the buildings will have these interactive doors and shutters as well, so it's great if you want to snipe or set up a machine gun nest, kind of selectively and strategically opening and closing things when it makes sense to. Then there's also squad commands to call in reinforcements. The healing and medical system is another unique thing where playing as a medic, most games you just throw a health kit or maybe press a button to stab someone with a syringe and, revive them. But in Easy Red 2, you actually have to choose the correct tool to treat a wounded soldier. You can drag people to safety, and then you could also liberate your own soldiers who are surrendering if they've been overrun, or, like I said before, commit war crimes and execute enemy soldiers who tried to give up themselves. Easy Red 2 is, at the end of the day, a brutal and imaginative sandbox, and while it's certainly not perfect, I can't recommend it enough. The only place I really think the game falls flat a bit are the animations can be, at times, a bit janky and less responsive than I'd want them to be, and the multiplayer mode, while not the main feature of the game, is pretty much dead. I just thought that was worth noting. The AI can also be a bit stupid at times, though that can sometimes lead to some hilarious moments, so bug or feature, it's kinda depends on the way you look at it. But that is going to be it for me today. I just wanted to cover what is by far one of my favorite World War II games of all time. I mean, this one, well, it's not quite the same thing, is up there with World at War to me. I mean, I love this game. Every time I play this game, I'm impressed. The selection of weapons is just absolutely massive. There are so many lesser known weapons like Carcanos or Labels or all these just like weird, more obscure guns from World War II that you just wouldn't expect to see. You don't see them in Call of Duty. You don't really see them in Battlefield. But they're there in Easy Red. Same thing with the factions. There's just so many unique things to use. I mean, I remember I went to a museum one time a while ago, and I was pointing out to my wife, I'm like, that's an Easy Red. That's an Easy Red too. Oh, look at that. That's an Easy Red. And we're like looking at the museum pieces, and there's like a little plaque that's telling you how rare it was and how there's only X amount still in existence. And I'm like, oh, but it's in Easy Red. And this game is just, it is really, really fun. If you like World War II, if you have an interest in history, if you like a little casual, fun FPS to just mess around in and not try too hard in, then Easy Red 2, again, I highly recommend it. One other little critique that I hope they can change one day is right now the game is only on Steam. I would really love to see this game released on GOG because I'm kind of, GOG doesn't have DRM, and I like actually owning my games, and I would gladly buy this game again if they do a GOG release, but that's just me. Who knows, maybe sometime in the future. But that is going to be it for me today. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. At the time this video is going to be uploaded, it's actually going to be election day in the US. So if you are in the US and able to vote and have not done so already, there should be a few hours left that you can still go and vote. So please do that. Don't just give up. Don't just be lazy. Don't be a doomer. Your vote counts, all that great stuff. Go out there and vote. Again, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Have a great day and stay safe. Goodbye.